and welcome to the Meeple Mentor YouTube channel. I'm Jared, and I'm doing a review of Wingspan Asia. This is by Elizabeth Hargrave, and it is a standalone expansion to Wingspan, which came out a couple of years ago and is still very widely played. So Asia is the most recent of the expansions, and it's had multiple, but what makes it especially unique is it's a standalone expansion. What that means is if you don't have Wingspan already, you can just buy this box and be able to play it 2 players. If you want to play with more players, that's where you need the actual base game box. That being said, it works great as an expansion. It adds ways to play the game with 6 and 7 players. So if you wanted to increase the player count of Wingspan up to 7, then this also is a great way to do that. It does that with the use of this rotation token here, so 6-player side, 7-player side, and essentially there's a token that points at 2 different players on these or on this board, and those 2 players are taking simultaneous turns when playing the game. And so even though you've got a lot of people at the table, there's always going to be 2 people taking their turn at the same time. And part of the way they do that is they kind of separate the groups into 3 and 3 or 3 and 4. And those players have their own separate dice pool. So the game includes a new bird feeder board. So not a whole new dice, tray or dice tower, but a board. So it also includes 5 more dice so that you can have 5 dice specifically to that secondary group, and then the board that represents the ones in play, and then of course off the board would be not in play, as far as the regular rules of Wingspan go. Wingspan Asia also comes with a lot of new cards, new bird types, and of course just new abilities and everything like that. There are end of round goals or end of round abilities and end of game abilities on some of the cards that come in the box. These cards can be used and mixed in together to shuffle into, huge decks for the main game, or, there's enough cards here that, like I said, standalone game, you can play it just one-on-one with an opponent. So how does it play? Holly and I played this together. She and I did the duet mode, is what they call that, one-on-one, several times. And I will say that if you regularly play Wingspan at 2 players and you like playing at 2 players, the duet mode, which does change up the game a bit, I think is a really great addition, really great way to play at 2 players. If you don't normally play at 2 players, then I don't think you're going to get as much use out of that, except for the increased player count that the game offers and the new cards that it offers. I really like the 2-player mode. So if you've played Wingspan, but you don't own Wingspan, but you wanted a cheaper entry to the game, or would regularly play more often with 2 players, then just pick up Wingspan Asia, because we really enjoyed the 2-player variant. The new mechanisms added to this were quite satisfying. One of the things it does is it adds duet tokens and a duet board. The duet tokens, everyone gets 15, so you just kind of play them out, or they start on your game board, just on every space where a bird would go, just as a reminder that every time you play a bird, you're going to move one of these tokens onto the duet board. The board is sort of broken up into 3 categories, just like your own board, where the 3 different habitats are represented. The duet token that you place after playing a bird will have to match the habitat you played that bird in, and has to match one of the icons shown on the board. So there's going to be food types. So if you paid that food type to play the bird, then you can put that token there. Nest type, wingspan, height or length or width or whatever. So those are the different sort of ways that, you have to match the token to get on there. One of the things that does for you is at the end of the game, your largest adjacent connected group will each score 1 point for each token in that large group. The other thing it does is there's some immediate bonuses that you can earn by, selecting certain spaces on that duet board. Only one player can be at each space, so if one player's already gained, that particular spot, you can't go there. But there are those special, you place a token there, then as a bonus, maybe you get another food from the dice tray, or you get to draw a card, those sorts of things. The other thing that you can do is instead of, or if you can't play your token on a space that's valid on that duet board, you have the option to place it on one of the spaces just adjacent to it. And on your turn, you can remove your tokens from that special space to either refresh the dice tray, regardless of how many dice are there, or refresh the 3 face-up birds in the bird display. So that's a nice option to have if, you can't place a token because it doesn't match, or you decide, maybe this isn't going to be very ideal for, connectivity purposes. I'll just maybe place it out here and use it for refreshing something later in the game. Those are all really great additions for adding to the 2-player because you get a lot more strategy to, that kind of like an extra strategic board to play with in a 2-player game. So it's not just playing bird cards and trying to maximize your efficiency with that. There's a little bit, if you will, of area control in that duet board. The tokens are kind of shaped like a yin and yang, but they're not meant to be placed together. So even though they might fit together nicely like a yin and yang, they're one person per space on that duet board. I really liked Wingspan Asia. I like seeing the new art and the new cards and the additional gameplay that it brings. So the question for you is it worth it if you already own Wingspan? Well, if you're a big fan of Wingspan and you want to just get everything that it has to offer, by all means, you want to get this. If you like the birds specifically from Asia and want to see Asia represented in your game, then this is the one to get as well to add in, because I know there's a lot of choices and expansions to add into your game. If you don't have an expansion yet for the game, this might be a really good first one to get because of the additional gameplay options with both 2-player and increasing it to 6 and 7-player with the dial and the new player boards and stuff for 6 and 7-player. I really recommend it if you don't have Wingspan and you play 2-player games and want to have an experience of Wingspan. This is a really great small box 2-player variant that you can play, which is just a standalone version of Wingspan. So it's really, really good, really well designed. So I think overall, I would give it a definitely try it, probably buy it. And if you like Wingspan, you definitely want to get this. We really enjoyed it. That's really all I'm gonna say. Like we had a great time. I liked Wingspan Asia. I think you should definitely check it out. So yeah, that's our review. I hope you enjoyed watching our review today of Wingspan Asia. If you want to check out more reviews, we do a lot on the channel of other kinds of new games that have come out and even older games. We do recommendation videos. We do a podcast. We have tutorials that are on the channel. So there's a lot of content, so stick around. Really appreciate you guys' support and watching, and make sure you like and subscribe. And maybe, I'll see you in the next video or at a convention coming up. So keep an eye out. But yeah, until the next video, I've been Jared. Bye-bye.